Hey everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Tricia, and in today's video we're going to do a deep dive into how to get started flipping furniture, the basics of what you need and what tools you should invest in as you start doing more. If that's something that interests you, you're going to want to stick around all the way to the end. We're going to chat about some things that are not often talked about. Let's get started. Being a part of different furniture flipping communities, I see a lot of people wanting to hop on board this growing hobby. And of course, the number one question is, how do I get started? With less than $200, you can set yourself up with everything you need if you want to flip furniture for yourself or friends and family, or even if you want to start this as a side hustle. In this video, I'm not going to get into paint techniques and pricing, but I know as a newbie, you're going to have a lot of questions. So drop your questions in the comments. I do respond to every single comment. Now, before you flip your first piece of furniture, it is very important that you know what is your piece made of. Is it laminate, veneer, solid wood, plastic? Not because it's a particular brand or an antique or even that it's super heavy in and of itself does not determine if a piece of furniture is solid wood or not. And get this, even if it's listed as wood on Facebook Marketplace does not mean that it is. Most people selling their used furniture have no idea what it's made of. How you would prep a laminated piece of furniture as opposed to veneer or solid wood is very different, and knowing this before you start can save you a lot of frustration, time, energy, and money. Now, I did a deep dive in this video on how to determine whether your piece is solid wood or not. So after watching this video, you can go check that one out. Get started with a small piece of furniture. Don't go for anything too big. Hopefully something you already have in your home that you're not spending any money on. You can start with like an end table, a side table, a small coffee table, a small dresser. Make sure it's something that does not need any major repairs. First thing is going to be personal protection. You can wear the N95 mask. I'm sure you still have a stock of those from going through the pandemic. I still recommend getting this mask. This is the RZ mask. It comes in this little pouch. It does have this Velcro at the back, so it's easy to put it on. And it comes with extra filters in the bag. You want to get a box of gloves. I suggest getting chemical resistant or nitrile gloves. The bigger the quantity, the better the price. Of course, eye protection. This you're not going to need right away. This is if you get into chemical stripping, you're going to get a pair of rubber gloves. You can get this at the dollar store. And you're also going to want to get a respirator. This or the regular mask that you use during the pandemic is not enough to protect you from chemical fumes if you're dealing with any type of stripper that has chemicals in it. So you're going to have to get one of these respirators. So this here is basically what you're going to need to get started. This you get later on if you get into any type of chemical stripping. Dish soap. Just use whatever dish soap you have. I don't think you should go out to buy anything new when it comes to the cleaning aspect of it. Get a small spray bottle. You can use dish soap or a solution of vinegar and water, and that works really well for cleaning. This is a spritzer bottle. It does mist water out, so it doesn't spray water like this does. It just gives you a mist. You're not going to use this for cleaning. You're going to need this later on for painting, so I'll probably just set that aside. I picked this up at the dollar store. I like the shape of the brush. This gets into the hard to reach areas, and you're going to need the toothbrush for those little nooks and crannies. Old sponges, when I change them out in my kitchen, I just keep the old ones for cleaning furniture and I put new ones there. An old towel, just cut it up into pieces. This is great for rinsing the piece and drying it off after. This is a TSP substitute, essentially a heavy-duty cleaner. This is diluted in water, so I have a mixture of this in a big spray bottle, and I use this for the really dirty pieces, but you don't need to have this to start with. Vinegar and water or dish soap works just fine. In terms of tools, all you need is a flat and Phillip head, and this is for removing hardware or legs or things like that. Two items that I am completely out of is this lead testing kit. This is the one I recommend. Make sure you do this on every piece before you get started. The other thing is tack cloth. That is a necessity in my opinion if you want to get a completely smooth, flawless finish. Dust is the enemy of a good finish. They are thin cloths with a little bit of a tacky or sticky feel to it. Right before you paint or stain, use a tack cloth, and that will take up any fine dust that may have settled during the time that was drying or any areas that you may have missed. Sanding is a big part of furniture refinishing or flipping. So you're going to have to make a decision on whether you want to get an orbital sander right off the bat or if you want to hand sand. Hand sanding is perfectly fine. In the beginning, you should start with smaller pieces, and if you don't want to put out money for an orbital sander just yet, you can hand sand smaller pieces and it not burn you out too much. Even if you get one, I do suggest still having these items. These are sanding sponges. Mine is a bit of a mess, but you buy this in a pack of I think 12. The nice thing about these is that you can wash them and reuse them. So mine are all due for a wash. As you can see, they come with different grips. These I absolutely love because when you are sanding like spindles or rounded edges, and so this works really well to get those areas. Now other than that, you're going to want to get a sanding block. This I got at the dollar store, and a couple of sanding sheets. So essentially these you wrap around the block. Now the block you can use, it does have some grit to it, but if you want to change, like this is a 320, so it's a very smooth grit. You just wrap it around and you use this to sand the smoother surfaces and this for more the rounded edges. Just quickly about grits, these are the grits that I suggest you get started with: 80, 120, 220, 320. The smaller the number, the coarser the grit. So you're going to use 80 and 120 for more like removing a finish. 220 and 320 is more like a finishing sand. These four are great for starting with. I would add a fifth one, maybe like a much higher grit, just to knock off any fine, particles that may have settled when you're doing your top coat. This is a great tool to have. This will save you a lot of time. If you are starting with just hand sanding, this is going to save you a lot of time because you can scrape the initial top layer off and then just finish off with sanding. This is the same thing. This is also a scraper, but this is the one I recommend you get started with. This one, I picked this up at Home Depot. It does have different shapes so that you can change the edge of it. So if you have corners that you want to get into, this works really well for that. This is going to last you a bit, but this eventually gets a little bit dull, so you can remove it and just replace it with new one. You know this is dull when it stops curling. When you're pulling it back, you should see the top layer sort of making like a curl. If it's not doing that anymore, it's just leaving like a dust, it's dull. So you need to change the edge of that. These are convex and concave scrapers. So essentially this is for the flat surfaces. This has these rounded concave going in, convex coming out. Certain parts of your furniture are going to have the shape. As an example, a spindle you can use, fit it in whatever size part of the spindle, and this will scrape it. So this does save a lot of time too. So if you want to use this and then hand sand, that works. You don't have to get this initially, but I'll just put it in there because it's something to consider. If you're not up to starting with just hand sanding and you want to get a sander, I recommend a 5-inch orbital sander. You can get a variety pack of sandpaper with all the different grits, and that works. This is a cheaper sandpaper, so if you want to start with this, you can. It works well, it just doesn't last as long as something like this one, which is Diablo. So these are a really good quality. This lasts a bit longer than these, and this to me is the ultimate. This is this 3M extract. This in my opinion works far better than any of the others. It takes it off a lot faster, saves a lot of time, but it does cost a little bit more. So priming is a very important step if you're going to be painting. A lot of paint products are going to claim that you don't need to prime. I think you are better safe than sorry. It's very frustrating to finish an entire piece and then you have to bleed through or the paint is not staying. I say play it safe. Prime all your pieces before you paint it. This is Zinsser Bin Advanced Shellac Primer. So this is the water-based version. There is the Zinsser been shellac primer, and then this one, as you can see here, it says advanced. So this one is the water-based version, and it works just as well as the original shellac version in my opinion, and so much easier to use because it's water-based, so it's an easy cleanup. A gallon of this or a quart of this to start with. If you're painting, definitely use a primer. Now this is another one that you can use. This is also a Zinsser product, Bullseye 123. I have this because I picked this up on the OOP shelf for $2.50. And it works well. I know that this one is going to prevent any type of bleed throughs. Initially, you're not going to be sure if a piece is going to have bleed through or not. Over time, you kind of learn what pieces do and don't, but initially you don't. So I would say play safe and use this. So let's get into the paints and supplies. Let's talk first about the brush and rollers. This is the brush I recommend. This is a Worcester 2-inch slanted brush. I like this because it's really easy to fit in your hands so that you can, navigate your paint a lot easier. Get a 4-inch roller handle and tray. You can buy this set like this, and it comes with 2 rollers. These are the rollers I recommend. These are high density foam rollers. You can get if you shop at Lowe's, then you get the Wiz cabinet and doors. If you shop at Home Depot, you can get these. These are high density foam rollers. I love these as well. They both work well. There are comparable items on Amazon as well, so I'm going to link those below along with everything in this video. Then you're going to want to get some chip brushes. You can get these at the dollar store, and a couple of plastic putty knives, or maybe just one. Some wood filler. This is quick wood, which is quite a popular choice among a lot of flippers. This is a 2-part putty. Feels like Play-Doh, so you just take a piece off and you just mix, mix it around with your finger. Or you can get this one. This is color changing wood filler. So it starts off pink, and it's dry when it's that natural color. I prefer using this. I use this with the putty knife. This is Bondo. Bondo comes either as an all-purpose or a wood putty. It is a 2-part system. This is good for bigger gouges. I don't think you're going to need this initially because, like I said, you're going to want to look for pieces that don't need a lot of repairs to make it easier on yourself. But eventually you're going to need to get a can of Bondo. It dries really fast, so there is some technique to it. I've used this quite a bit on a lot of my furniture flipping. If you're interested in that, you can just look at a couple of my flipping videos. Painter's tape, you're going to use this for areas of your project that you don't want to paint or whatever. Now, when it comes to paints, there are numerous brands out there that you can use. There's tons of them, right? I personally love General Finishes products. I use this water-based milk paint. It goes a much longer way than a lot of the other products out there. For the price, as to how much I can get out of it, I think it's a great value. Start with a neutral color. This is the linen, and their lighter colors. The texture of the paint, don't be scared. It tends to be a little bit chunky or thick. You just add a little bit of water and it covers really well. So pour into a smaller container what you would need, add a little bit of water and paint from there, and then you add as you need. So you don't dilute what's in the can, and you want to make sure that you properly close your cans after you use it, because air is what is going to make your product go bad essentially. So always make sure you secure all your containers, your wood filler, all your containers. You make sure all the lids are closed tight before you store them away. If you want to do a paint wash, this is also a great color. A paint wash is a 50-50, not really. I would say like a 2/3 water, 1/3 paint. And you can do a paint wash, which is applying a wash of paint and then wiping it back with like a lint-free cloth. So this also gives you an option to do an additional type finish, because this color works really good as a paint wash. If you are on a tight budget and you want to make your own paint, you could make chalk paint with regular paint. Now this is just sample paint, so these are $125 for the sample over at Lowe's, I want to say. But at Home Depot or even Lowe's, well, Lowe's different pricing now with their Oops paint. If you go to Lowe's, check their Oops section, you can buy a gallon of regular paint for $9. Lowe's has changed their pricing on their oud paint, so now it's 50% off the regular price. If you can see like a neutral color like this, and all you're gonna need is this calcium carbonate. You mix this with a little bit of water and you add it to your regular paint. It makes it into chalk paint, and so that gives you a nice coverage, a nice finish. So if you're on a budget, you can get a pack of this, a $9 gallon of oud paint over at Home Depot, and you're set for quite a number of pieces. Either way, whatever fits your budget, that's where you're going to start. So the final step in your furniture flipping process is protection, and that's a very important part. After your paint is completely dry or your finish is completely dry, then you want to put some protection on it. Now these are the two that I recommend for very different reasons. For one, this is half the price of this. I find this a lot easier to apply with less problems. So without getting into that too much, this does work well. I do suggest using the brush on roll off method. I recommend that for painting and for doing your top coat as well. That would essentially give you a nice smooth, even surface. The trick to putting on top coat is not to overwork it. So if you apply it and you roll it, I use a dry roller to give it a nice smooth finish. You roll it that one time and you get it evenly applied, leave it alone. Don't keep rolling or brushing, because that's what make it look a little weird if you overwork it. The finish is just going to depend on what you like. A lot of people like a flat finish, so these are both flat. This is a satin, a little bit more of a sheen than this one. I personally like mixing 50-50 with these two, so I get something kind of in between. It's a little bit too much sheen for me. You'll see here in this can I have the mix, so the only thing with it is you have to make sure you really combine the two well, that you stir it, make sure it's completely mixed in, and while you're applying it, you stop and you stir it, you apply, you stop and you stir it. So you have to constantly keep stirring it so the particles or whatever is in the satin mixes and stays into the flat part of it. So that's what I do in terms of protection. Again, you can use this. They are both water-based products, so they're easy to clean up, and this is just a bonus item. If you want to get this, I do highly suggest this. If you're dealing with dressers or anything that has drawers that are sticking, I like using this on those drawer glides. So I apply a liberal amount of this and it completely fixes the problem. Let's talk about a couple of things that you want to take into consideration if you would like to flip furniture for profit, which means you're going to buy a used piece of furniture, you're going to put some love into it, and then you're going to resell it. The first thing is getting the best deals on used furniture. You have to be constantly keeping your eye on things as they come available. So let's say you are shopping on Facebook Marketplace, which is where I recommend, because you're going to get things that are available in your area. The thing with that is you have to be constantly looking, and as things become available, you have to be able to jump on it right away if you want to get the deal. The good things, they go fast. Sellers are not going to hold items for you, so you have to be able to go quickly and get the item, which means that you're going to have a vehicle that's big enough to hold furniture. Furniture flipping is bulky business. You're not flipping burgers. So you want to make sure that you have a vehicle accessible to you. This might seem like an obvious thing, but I cannot tell you how many times I have had buyers come to pick up furniture in a tiny vehicle that can hardly hold a single chair. So it happens, and that brings me to the point of when you're listing your furniture, make sure you put all the dimensions in there so that the buyer can come prepared to fit that furniture into their vehicle. Just know your limitations in terms of the vehicle that you have available to you. The other thing that isn't thought of before getting into furniture flipping as a business is storage. Again, this is bulky business. You have to have an allocated space for your pieces. an extra room, a spare room, or even your garage. Also, when you're done with your piece, there's no crystal ball as to how fast you're going to be able to resell that piece. So once you're listed, if it takes a few days or a week or 2 weeks, you've got to have a place to keep that piece of furniture. And you also want to take into consideration that when you top coat your furniture, most top coats take about 30 days to fully cure. What that means is it goes through a period of drying process and it hardens, and as it hardens, it's protecting. If you're selling your piece before it's fully cured, you want to make sure that you let your buyer know. Treat it with kid love. Be gentle with it. Use coasters, whatever they need to do to not be too harsh on that piece, depending on what it's used for. Some people hold their item until it's fully cured before they put it out to be sold. That's something you can consider if you don't want to deal with any type of backlash. But again, you need to have a place that you can keep that item until it's sold. And that's it for today, guys. If you found this video helpful, thank me by liking this video. And if you haven't already, be sure you subscribe and let me know in the comments if you have any other questions. I would be happy to help you get started on this journey. All the products are listed in the description below to make it easy for you to start accumulating what you need. Go ahead and tackle that first project. Hit fear in the face. You can do it. Don't overthink it. And remember that every mistake is a learning opportunity. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.